Hey everyone, my name is Ramneet, and today we are going to talk about the process of mourning. Um, so, for a lot of people, they may not know what mourning is. And when you lose a loved one or somebody very close to you, mourning is considered to be an act. And in certain cultures, um, there are certain tasks that are considered important to complete when you are mourning the loss of a loved one. So today we are going to talk about the process of mourning and how it looks like for people who have lost loved ones, and how, if you as an individual who hasn't lost somebody, how you can support somebody when they have lost another person close to them, and remind them the importance of the process of mourning and how it can actually help them along in their healing journey. So, again, to reiterate, what is mourning? It's a process of adapting to loss through the completion of four tasks. It's adapting to a new world without their loved one, and making a lot of changes that go with that. It's about cherishing the memories of that loved one while continuing to move forward in their own life, and adjusting to a world without the deceased while holding a place for them in your heart. So, although that person is gone physically, they may not be gone emotionally, and they may not be gone spiritually for that person. And it's important for them to feel connected to that person while they are alive and that person has now been deceased. So, task one is accepting the reality of the loss. And the reality of the situation actually can be minimized or denied after the loss. So, a lot of people may say, oh, that person is gone now. You still have your life to live. So, it's important you focus on your own life. However, these kind of statements are not really helpful to the person who is undergoing that loss. So, they may be in a state of shock. They may not even have registered that, this person is now gone. What does that even mean? What does the loss of this person in their life mean? So for a wife, for example, if she's lost a husband and he was, the primary, person who was in charge of bills and the breadwinner of the house, then what does that mean for her? So accepting the reality of the loss is really, really important when you are mourning the loss of that loved one. Task two is processing the pain of that grief that comes with it. So grief involves a lot of painful emotions, such as sadness and anger and guilt. And a lot of us have heard about the 5 stages of grief, which is, denial and anger and bargaining and depression, and then finally acceptance. However, they may not be in a linear process, and they may come from, you may be in denial going into sadness, and you may accept it one day and then wake up the next moment in denial again. So it's not linear. It's a confusing process, but it does involve accepting and processing that pain. And it can be tempting to avoid these feelings. So bearing them rather than facing them is, what a lot of people do. And that could be through substance use or just, not avoiding daily functions, avoiding duties. It's very common to, run away from these feelings. But I think processing the pain of grief is really, really important. Letting it out, crying it out, talking to people who understand, maybe talking to other people who have lost loved ones can be very, very helpful. And working through grief can mean confronting, naming, and making sense of these emotions. So if you're feeling angry one day that that person is gone, it's okay to feel anger. It's okay to be like, you know what, this is really crap. I wish I wasn't going through this right now. If you're going through emotion of sadness and a friend is asking you to hang out, it's okay to let them know that, hey, you know what, today's one of my sad days and I'm not able to get up. So working through grief means going through these waves of emotions, sometimes for 6 months, sometimes for a year. Grief is very dependent on each person, but the process of mourning is the same. So task number 3 is adjusting to a world without the deceased. So like I was saying earlier, a lot of things change when the person close to them passes. So what does adjustment look like? if they were the breadwinner, now, who's going to be working? So there's going to be a lot of adjustments that do need to be made. The death of a loved one will usually bring about a number of life changes. So these can range from minor changes in daily routines to the adoption of an entirely new worldview. So some people may possibly want to sell their home and shift to a smaller place, smaller setting. Sometimes their home can be a reminder of that loved one, so they may want to change. Some people want to stay in that home because it makes them feel closer to their loved one. And there's no right or wrong. It's all dependent on how the person feels comfortable and what changes they're feeling comfortable making. And this task is really about navigating these changes and adjusting to the world without the loved one. So internal adjustments can be changes to one's identity. So, your self-esteem and your identity and who you are. If you were a mother and you lost a son or a daughter, your identity as a mother now changes. You may question yourself, am I a mother? Do I still talk to other mothers about their kids? How do I feel about that? Or, vice versa. If you're a child who lost their father or mother, and there's, Mother's Day and Father's Day, how do you feel and how do you navigate that? So a lot of internal adjustments come when you're grieving and after the loss of a loved one. Some external adjustments can look like taking on new roles and developing new skills. So, for a parent, they may have to be both a mother and a father now to their kids. So they may take on cooking and childcare, which may not be something they've done in the past. And spiritual adjustments, so changes to beliefs, values, and assumptions about the world. You may have been closer to God before the death of this loved one and now may no longer believe in God, or your spirituality can grow and you can actually become closer to God. So there's a lot of adjustments that need to be made or that usually come after the loss of a loved one. And it's about understanding how to navigate those and what resources to reach for when I am going through these adjustments. And task number 4 is finding a way to remember the deceased while moving forward in life. So finding a place for the deceased in one's thoughts, a place that's important but still leaves room for others. And completing this task means finding a healthy balance between cherishing their memory and moving forward in life. So a lot of people may choose to write letters regularly to their loved one, letting them know what's going on in their life now. Having a conversation that, feels like it was never broken. Others may have a tree planted in their name that they like to visit. So still keeping them a huge part of their life, not forgetting them completely, but also, moving on in their life and going through milestones in their own life. And that would be task 4 for the process of mourning. So this is a really important video for anybody who has lost a loved one and is finding difficulty in mourning and is not able to understand how to move forward. And it's also a video for anybody who hasn't lost anybody close to them, but knows of somebody who does and doesn't know how to help or doesn't know how to be there for them. So just showing them this video or, letting them know that you are there for them and will help them through this process of mourning is really helpful as well. Thank you for joining me today, and I will be back again with a new Skill Hub.